I don't know. Sometimes I seriously lose faith that trans people will ever be accepted into society and integrated into society when just the insanity that comes out of the community is so constant. I don't know. I just feel like we never have anything positive coming out of the community. I feel like it's always, if you don't date me, you're transphobic. Yes, 7-year-olds can decide to transition. Yes, male athletes who popped 2 estrogen pills should be able to compete against women and demolish them. When is the community going to step up and realize things are going too far and regain some credibility here? Because it's not looking good.
So a couple of weeks ago, Blaire White released this video on her YouTube channel. There was a little bit of misinformation. It was a little bit mean. It was about transgender athletes, in which she featured Janae Marie Kroc, who is a transgender woman who never competed against cisgender women.
And something we don't often see is that Janae actually went back post-transition and competing against men just because, I guess. It was kind of like she's gone back and forth competing with men and women based on I don't know what. That's just a dick move. No pun intended. Okay, pun intended, but I'm a fucking tranny, so I can make that pun. Anyways.
And there were a couple comments made there that were just, a little bit mean-spirited, very uncalled for.
And I am not trying to make fun of her appearance. I know people will just run to that because people like to just say I'm a big old meanie rather than addressing any of my points, but I'm really not making fun of her appearance. I think that obviously her appearance is outlandish, and I think that even she would admit that, because how could she not?
After Blaire released that video, some of her fans went over to Janae and started to dogpile on Janae and started to send hate her way, and that just wasn't very cool. But I would argue, even if she did compete against cisgender women, you still shouldn't send her hate. How could that be? Well, a couple of months ago, Blaire made this video about J.K. Rowling, right? She was not offended by J.K. Rowling. She thought that other people who were offended by J.K. Rowling were oversensitive.
Why are you fighting this fight on our behalf and furthering and perpetuating this stereotype that we are science deniers? Y'all can choose to deny science, but don't do it on our behalf. There's this stereotype that trans people just can't handle anything, that we're just so emotionally weak and we deny science and, we're just perpetual victims. However, a lot of trans allies and celebrities who like to fight for us without ever asking us how we feel love to be offended by it.
She didn't like that cisgender allies were calling J.K. Rowling transphobic and being all angry, being all offended on her behalf. And I'm like, okay, if you want to have that position that cis people shouldn't be angry on your behalf or whatever, you can have that opinion, but can't that also translate to sports? Does Blaire actually care about the female athletes within that sport? What if Janae did compete against cisgender women, but the cis women were completely okay with it? What if they wanted to compete against Janae? What if they asked to compete against Janae because they looked up to her, they saw her as somebody who's really powerful and they really wanted to compete against her, and it was all very consensual and nobody was offended, nobody was harmed? So I am throwing that out there. Why be offended on their behalves? But again, these cisgender female competitors of Janae are all hypothetical. They do not exist because she did not compete against cisgender women. And I do like that since Sam made a video calling her out on that, and also since Janae wrote a comment on that video, and I think it was the comment that had the most likes, people are now calling out Blaire. They're asking for her to apologize. They're asking for her to retract her statements. They're asking for her to delete her video, at least acknowledge that she was wrong in some way. And she hasn't yet at all acknowledged that she was wrong, which I think is unfortunate because Blaire, I remember a couple of months ago you tweeted out this. I agree with you. I think that we should change our opinions once we are presented with different evidence. And since it has been presented that you did faulty research, I don't know how much research you did into this topic, because you did not share any of that research with us in the description. There's no links to any articles or anything like that. So But anyway, if you are presented with new information, I think that you should then modify your own opinion. And I think that the best way to convey this message to all of your fans and all of your subscribers is to lead by example. Hi guys, I thought I'd add in that as of today, Blaire has officially apologized on her Twitter account and she deleted the video. So I'm seeing some discourse over on Twitter over whether or not that apology is sufficient, if it's too little too late or whatever the hell. I'm not really gonna weigh in on that. She said that her mistake was due to less than thorough research. Nothing more and nothing less. To that, I question why, when people call J.K. Rowling transphobic, you are willing to read a 900-page book to find out for yourself whether or not you think that J.K. Rowling is transphobic. But it seems like with other transgender people, she's so quick to believe the worst about them without doing thorough research. And this is not the first, last, or only time this has happened. I will get into other examples in which she's done either faulty research or it's just straight up slandered other people. That will be later on in this video, don't worry. But going back to the apology, I feel pretty terrible and have decided to take a break from social media and YouTube. Constantly releasing videos has resulted in her being sloppy, and with this last video, I don't want to come back to doing videos until I can guarantee this type of mistake doesn't happen again. I really hope she does a lot of self-reflection while she's on her break because again, there's other content on her channel that is problematic. Blaire White has a lot of subscribers. At the time she posted that video, she had 1 million. She doesn't have 1 million anymore because now some of her fans, they don't respect her as much since she did such faulty research and it's causing them to question her. But even with the subscribers that she recently lost, she has almost 1 million subscribers. That's a huge reach. And with all of that power, it's so important to be careful when you're making videos about other people to make sure that all of your information is correct and to not attack them over their appearance or be mean-spirited about them. That's so unfair and rude. And like, what the fuck did she do?
What trans people need right now is people like you to keep a low profile and people like me to be our representatives. Because I act like a normal woman and I date normal men and I don't have a cat girl girlfriend with a girl dick. Ugh! Also, I look fucking gorgeous. I'm sorry, but that matters. Well, you look just fine, but let's not get arrogant, sweetheart. You're not Blaire White.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm referencing the wrong video here. But yes, Blaire is responsible for putting out that video with bad information in it. I will also say that everybody who watched that video and decided to be mean to Janae, they are all responsible for their actions. Each and every person has agency. You do not need to believe everything you see on YouTube without question. You do not need to think, oh wait, Blaire White just posted a video. I like Blaire White. She didn't put any links in her description. I don't know how to double check any of her information, but I'm just gonna trust what she says and I'm gonna be rude to whoever she's talking about. Absolutely not. That is unacceptable.
You're lying to her, you're lying to others, and you're lying to yourself, sweetie.
Just do not be sheep. Think for yourselves. Be skeptical. And on the flip side of that, I would like to commend everybody who was a fan of Blaire White or who continues to be a fan of Blaire White, who saw what happened here and who is calling Blaire out. It's not a bad thing. It is a good thing to hold your favorite content creators to a higher standard because, again, they have a lot of power and a lot of influence and they really need to use that power wisely. I'm just gonna take this thing off. I think it's more trouble than it's worth. Anyway, I do agree with all of the comments that Blaire's been receiving that she does really owe Janae an apology. Absolutely. She does need to acknowledge her mistake and apologize for her mistake and do better next time. But I do not think that Janae is the only person that Blaire should be apologizing to. I think that Blaire owes this woman right here a big apology. a huge apology. Who the fuck is that? And Georgilis? I'm actually not sure how to pronounce her name. I think she's Greek. This woman committed the fatal crime of being supportive of a transgender child and marrying a transphobic asshole who lied to her about his entire life, about everything. We're getting too far ahead of ourselves. Allow me to set the scene. So Jeff Younger and Ann Georgilis got married on December 5th, 2010, so 10 years ago. Before then, Ann had 2 adoptive daughters, and through this marriage, they had twins. But this marriage did not last, in part because it turns out that this dude, Jeff Younger, he lied about his previous relationships, how many times he had been previously married. He lied about how much money he made. He said that he had 2 degrees from the University of Dallas and that he was getting his PhD at the University of North Texas. And as part of his PhD program, he taught math at the University of North Texas. Nope, then she found out that he didn't even have a college degree. He lied about his military experience, lied about being on government assistance in the past, so he just lied about a lot of things. In addition to this guy being a pathological liar, he was, according to the court documents that I'm seeing, a really shitty father. Respondent engaged in inappropriate and hurtful treatment of the girls. The girls were good, sweet, hardworking, well-mannered children. Respondent forced the girls to do plank push-ups for extended periods of time while reading the house rules until the girls cried. Respondent would lock down the girls' room and remove all their possessions from their room and would not let them participate in family activities. Respondent would put the girls in silent treatment and they could not talk until spoken to for many, many days. Respondent's actions caused harm to the girls. One of the girls developed a suicide plan. The other girl was cutting herself. Just imagine that as a mother. You marry a guy, it turns out after you marry him, he's a completely different person and he treats your daughters like shit. But there's more to this story because one of the twins that this couple had together was diagnosed by the pediatrician with having gender dysphoria. Mom also took this child to a therapist who also diagnosed this child with gender dysphoria. This kid did not want to be known as James. She wanted to be known as Luna. And again, we're seeing in these court documents. So she likes to go to school wearing girly dresses and girly clothes. And she goes to her elementary school as Luna. The other kids know her as Luna, as well as the teacher. When she creates self-portraits, she draws pictures of herself where she has very long eyelashes, long hair. She wants to have long hair herself, but her dad shaves off her hair. Her twin brother calls her Luna, her other siblings. The rest of the family sees her as a girl, but the dad is not very supportive of this. As mentioned, he shaves her hair. I read an article where the mom, Anne, said that, if given the choice, she would not have chosen to have a transgender child, but she is herself a pediatrician and she wants what's best for her child. She already had 2 of her girls have major mental health issues due to what's going on with the dad, so she's been completely supportive of Luna, and she has been painted by the right-wing media as this crazy lunatic who was trying to force her child to be transgender, even though CPS investigated both households. They found 0 evidence that the mom was forcing her to identify as a girl. They said that there's both girl clothes and boy clothes. There's always an option there. If Luna decided she wanted to identify as James, that would be allowed, but she wants to identify as Luna. Whereas when CPS investigated the dad, he said, no, we do not allow her to wear girly clothes. Again, he shaves her hair without her consent, even though he knows that she wants long hair. Now, you guys might be wondering, hey, I thought that this video was about Blaire White. What does this have to do with Blaire White? She made a video about this. Whose side do you think she took? Do you think that she took the side of the supportive mother? No, she took the dad's side. She started off her video with this clip.
I'm a girl.
Who told you you were a girl?
Mommy.
When did she tell you you were a girl?
'Cause I love girls.
Oh, I see. So mommy told you you're a girl?
Uh-huh.
Does mommy do anything else like with a girl with you?
Mm-hmm.
Like what?
Like Jesus.
What does she do?
She do put them on me.
She puts dresses on you? Oh, wow. And what else does she do?
She buys my headbands,
Uh-huh.
me hair quits.
Oh, hair clips? Okay. Does she do anything with your fingers?
Yeah.
What?
She paints my nails.
So mommy puts you in a dress and puts nail polish on you? And what does mommy tell you?
She tells me I'm a girl.
There's this other YouTuber, I think his name was Red. He made a pretty good rebuttal of this whole video. I recommend it. It's shorter than this video. But he asks a very poignant question. Why would you show an edited version of that clip?
If you think the clip is so disturbing, why did you feel the need to edit it the way you did? There's at least 3 edits in the clip, but there's 2 very important ones that she cuts out. This is the first bit from the very beginning of the video.
You're a boy, right?
No. I'm a girl.
Who told you you're a girl?
Mommy.
As you can see, the clip Charlie Kirk was sharing around already cut some of the stuff out at the beginning, so we're missing part of the build-up to the discussion. I don't know if it was Kirk or the father who cut out the beginning of the clip. Anyways, Blaire edits out the beginning of the vid where the father says Luna is a boy. Blaire doesn't seem to think that is disturbing or disgusting, just the bit following the father's leading questions. Now let's look at the other major edit from the end of the clip.
Does she do anything with your fingers?
Yeah.
What?
She paints my nails.
Why does she do that?
Because I don't like nail polish.
Oh. So mommy puts you in a dress and puts nail polish on you? And what does mommy tell you?
She tells me I'm a girl.
Oh, okay. Do you think you're a girl?
Uh-huh.
You do? Is that why you wear this, so that you can have long hair? Okay.
There's a couple of important bits in this clip that Blaire leaves out. When the father asks Luna why her mother does her nail polish, and Luna replies that she likes her nail polish, that doesn't sound like Luna is being forced to wear the nail polish, and I would imagine the same response would be given about the dresses and other girls' clothing had the father asked. The next bit is when the father asks if she thinks she's a girl. This is the second time in the clip that Luna asserts she's a girl. From the court documents, we learn that Luna has multiple diagnoses of gender dysphoria. This will never come up in the rest of Blaire's video. Ask yourself why. Finally, the last bit has to do with Luna saying she wears the towel on her head because she wants longer hair. Once again, we learn in the court documents that the twins both had longer hair, but the father only cut Luna's hair. This also will never come up in Blaire's video. Again, ask yourself why.
And also, that video was recorded by the dad. According to Child Protective Services, Luna's father makes her anxious. She is afraid of her dad. And he was asking her leading questions anyway.
Now, the father in court claimed that the mother, who is supposedly behind pushing this child to transition, has done some incredibly shady and abusive things. That's alleged, saying she was putting my son into timeout and she would lock him in the room and say that monsters only eat boys. Now, if that's true, that seems like a blatant attempt to sort of manipulate James's idea of what a boy and girl is, trying to sort of almost imprint the idea that being a boy is bad, you're not a boy. And I don't know what the motive of this mother is.
But why not question the dad's motives? So the judge has called out Jeff Younger for publicizing this case and profiting off of this case. He set up GoFundMe pages and ended up raking in over $100,000. And need I remind you that this guy lied to his own wife about all of this? Do you think that he's trustworthy? Do you trust his opinion at all?
Now, I've been looking into this story, and many people are saying that this child has been coached and is being forced into this. And just based on what I have seen, I have to agree with that. That is personally my opinion.
Who is the one doing the coaching, though?
I cannot try to convince my son that he is a boy. Now that means I've been unable to teach him traditional Christian teachings on sexuality and gender, and I can't let him go to Sunday school because in my church, pretty much like yours, we teach this as just men and women. Since it's totally against my religious beliefs to affirm him as a girl, I have never assented to my son presenting as a girl. This is how I've been able to handle it. I've said, look, don't listen to me. I read you the book of Genesis every night before you go to bed. What does the Bible say?
that's your answer.
I think that it's really, really, really very sad that we've come to a point in our time, in our culture, where we care more about what some random YouTuber has to say about this case. Somebody who has never met anybody in this family. We trust her opinion more than we trust Child Protective Services, who investigated both households. They interviewed Luna by herself without any parents. They interviewed her brother. They interviewed her teacher at school, who interacts with Luna every single day without any parental supervision, who also said that she presents in a very feminine way. She identifies as a girl and she doesn't feel that she's being forced into identifying as a girl. Her mother affirms her gender because that's what the pediatrician, that's what the therapist recommends.
The child states they feel safe at home. They say that they're sometimes afraid of their dad because he's once called the cops on their mum during open house at school. They say this scares the kids who live with the mum. They state that their dad called the police because he didn't want them to be at open house with their mum and he wanted their time. The child states this happened yesterday and the police didn't do anything. They state the police have never come to their house before. They also state that they're afraid of their dad because he doesn't let them dress in girls' clothes because he thinks it's all about your body, and it's not. They state that their mum lets them dress how they want to dress. The child states that they feel comfortable in girls' clothes. They state that their mum has never made them dress in girls' clothes. They just want to. They state that their mum just wants them to be happy and safe. They state that they also ask their mum to paint their nails for them. They state that they prefer to be identified as a girl because that's what they like. They state that no one is making them. The CPS agent also interviewed the teacher of the kids' class. The teacher states she's never had any concerns of abuse or neglect for the child. She states she's a very smart student and prefers to be called Luna. The teacher states she's never felt that the student is pressured to assume the identity as female. Finally, the CPS agent reads out notes from an interview she conducted with the child's twin brother, who we will call Jake, again, without either parent being in the room. Here's what the child's twin brother says. Jake states that Luna has always wanted to be a girl and that his mum lets her but doesn't make her. Jake states that his dad tries to make Luna be a boy by making her dress in boys' clothes. Jake states this makes Luna feel sad.
So that's from Timba on Toast video. Timba on Toast is the real MVP. He made a rebuttal to Blaire's video before she even posted it. What the fuck? He posted this beautiful hour-long takedown of all of this fear-mongering and bullshit. And he actually read through the court documents, the court transcripts. I have also read through some of these court documents and transcripts. And, unlike Blaire, I am going to put my links in the description. I'm not asking that you click on those links. I am demanding that you click on those links. Follow along, kids. Not only did Blaire White cover this story, but Mr. Facts Over Feelings Ben Shapiro covered this story, the disturbing case of James Younger. Disturbing. That sounds like fear-mongering. It sounds like a very emotional word for you. Do you think that we're going to get a very strong emotional reaction? And do you think that we're going to get any facts from the actual case? Whether that be like the CPS testimony or whatever the hell.
Mom wants James to be Luna. James wants to be James when he's with Dad. But weirdly enough, he wants to be Luna when he's with Mom because Mom wants him to be Luna. Now Mom is trying to sue Dad and claim child abuse because Dad won't go along with this nonsense. Okay, this stuff is going to become more and more common.
This dude is such an insufferable asshole. I cannot stand him. During the summer, Donald fucking Trump retweeted somebody shouting, "White power."
White power! Yes, there you go, white power!
And then Ben Shapiro, Facts Over Feelings, he comes by and he's making all these excuses. How could you possibly think that he would do that intentionally? Do you really think he would do that?
And this made national news because, again, it is reflective of a narrative that the left would like to push, which is that President Trump is a white supremacist. Now, I think what actually happened here is the same thing that happens to a lot of people on Twitter. When you are bored, you just start retweeting things. And when you retweet things, you don't always watch the video all the way to the end. And President Trump, as we know, has the attention span of a gnat, right? The president of the United States is, he literally will not read presidential briefings that are put on his desk. They have to put them in bullet point form, and then he doesn't even read those. He'll ask for those to be shortened. Okay, the man is not famous for sitting there and reading tomes of Winston Churchill, right? So when it comes to watching videos online, my guess is he saw a person driving past with a Trump sign, and then he just retweeted it, right? That is the most likely explanation. Does anyone really think that President Trump, even the people who think that, wow, he's a racist dummy and all that, even those people, do you think that he really would intentionally retweet a video in which somebody is shouting white power, which is what happens in this video?
Yes, bitch. Yes, I do. I do think he would do that because anytime he has been asked to disavow white supremacists, he has to be dragged kicking and screaming to do so. And he's very reluctant to do so. But then when it came to disavowing Colin Kaepernick, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Nobody even need to ask for his opinion. He just offered it up. Was he calling David Duke a son of a bitch? Was he calling the Proud Boys sons of bitches? Ben Shapiro goes out of his way to defend Trump. You know the Bob Woodward tapes where we find out that Trump knew how bad COVID-19 was way back in the day and then he downplayed it. And then again, he comes up with excuses.
This has not stopped anybody from jumping to the conclusion they wish to jump to, which is that Trump knew full well how bad things were in early February. And then he lied about it. Okay, that is not correct. Okay, let's go through, first of all, what Trump's comments look like, and then we'll parallel them with what exactly Andrew Cuomo's comments look like. Because as you will see, they're kind of parallel. Right? Everybody was kind of figuring this out at the same time. So the basic story here, which is that Trump knew in February, early February, everyone was going to die from the virus, and then he lied about it. So to what end exactly? Nobody knows. Right? What exactly was the end of it? I've yet to hear an excuse for why this would happen. It's sort of like when the left claimed that Bush lied to lie America into war in Iraq. Why? To what end? So that we could get involved in a quagmire war for a decade? What exactly was the purpose? If Trump was lying about the virus, knowing, right? Not that he made a mistake. Not that he botched it by downplaying it, right? That all of that is fair game. That he lied about it. That Trump lied in order to do what? Seriously, in order to do what? So he knew early February that COVID was going to kill everybody. And then he was just like, I'm going to downplay it for fun. Like why? To increase the stock market? But as soon as the news broke, the stock market was going to crash. Why? To uphold his electoral possibilities? As soon as COVID hit, it was going to be obvious that Trump had misstated the case, and that was going to hurt him politically. So what would be the purpose of the lie? Again, I think we ought to distinguish between people saying dumb crap, which, again, is a hallmark of this administration, and lying outright. That he was not lying about COVID.
Ben, tell me about these weapons of mass destruction. Are you serious? This dude is a political hack. Any information that could be used to make the Republicans look bad, I don't believe it. I don't want to hear it. I'm going to make excuses for that. But when it comes to this story, did he need to look at any of the transcripts? No, he just heard a lot of fear-mongering nonsense and he told that to his audience who lapped that up. When Blaire White made a video defending Trump, she said this.
And the problem with running with fake stories is that the fake story will get a lot of attention up front, but the correction will get maybe a tenth of the attention.
If you attack Donald Trump with fake news, and that does happen sometimes, I mean, there was that whole hydrochloroquine story where people were blaming him for that couple that ate fish tank cleaner. When you attack Donald Trump with fake information, with fake news, you're only making yourself a not credible source so that when you have actual criticisms against Donald Trump, then people aren't going to listen to you. And Donald Trump has over 80 million followers on Twitter. So if there are any disingenuous attacks, he has a platform to tell his side of the story. And he tells his side of the story day in and day out. But when it comes to this woman is a civilian. This woman does not have 1 million subscribers on YouTube. She's not famous in any way. She's infamous. But these right-wing commentators who are telling all this false information about her, they have so many fucking subscribers and their videos get so many views. Like, it really breaks my heart that Timba on Toast video, it was so well done. It doesn't even have 100,000 views. Meanwhile, Blaire White's video has over 500,000 views. And I really want to shed light on this story because I really hope that somebody out there with a really big platform who has the ability to speak to many people, they can look through the documents themselves. Again, I'm putting links in the description. Please look through the description. Please read through everything. I'm pretty sure conservatives know that when it comes to like LGBT issues, the majority of society has just completely passed them by. Earlier this year, Nikki Tutorials came out of the closet. She said that she has always identified as a girl. She dressed in girls' clothes. She played with dolls and all of those things. And I didn't see any comments saying, oh my God, your mom allowed you to do that. Oh my God, your mom bought you girls' clothes. Oh my God, your mom let you play with dolls. Your mom let you go outside dressed like a girl when you were a child. So this video has so many views, has a really good like to dislike ratio. And then after that video came out, I saw a lot of positive comments on the videos with Nikki and her mother. But I'm like, what's the difference between Nikki's mom and the mom here? They're both supportive of their transgender children. But I think that in order to make this woman sound absolutely horrible, they had to create this awful story where she's forcing the kid to be transgender. If they just tell the story as it is, people would not take the father's side. They would take the mother's side. And you can't have that, can you? You have to fearmonger.
But for whatever bad ramifications this story has on public discourse, the real gut punch comes when you realize that there is a very real person on the receiving end of all of this hostility that this outrage campaign has generated.
Since this verdict, Representative for Georgilis, Karen Hirsch, said that a rock was thrown through a window at Georgilis's house while the children were sleeping. I think that that's very important to note because everybody's like, oh my God, think of the children. What about the children? What about the children? But blowing up this story with false information hurts the children the most. And you're hurting the mother who is supportive of her children. Anyway, yeah, so rock was thrown through the house and she's been forced to close her pediatric practice after dead animals and graffiti were left outside the door. That's horrible. I would just like to say, okay, in the summer, Blaire White experienced like a little smear attack where somebody on Twitter, a JoJo Siwa fan account, decided to make up a fake DM and claim that she called Peaches the N-word. It kind of blew up and I saw the live stream where she was very upset and she's like, my mental health's already not in good shape thanks to the lockdown. And you know, I sympathize with her. I feel bad for her. I think that that person was completely in the wrong for faking DMs and, you know, putting out defamatory statements. But can you imagine how this woman feels? Oh my goodness, this court case, what? It happened like 2 years ago. And then the dad publicized it. He made over 100 grand from this. So he's benefiting from this. But the mom who dared to be supportive of her child, no, it's 2 years later and people still think that she is this awful person who is forcing her child to be transgender. Blaire White, if you're watching this, you decided to read a 900-page book so you could see for yourself what J.K. Rowling had to say, and then you defended J.K. Rowling. If you could read a 900-page book, you can read through the court transcripts. There's a lot of pages, not 900. It'll go by like that. So yes, Blaire White does owe Janae an apology. She also owes Anne an apology. She owes Luna an apology. And also, why the fuck did she Photoshop a beard and mustache onto another woman? Why Photoshop a beard and mustache onto her? That's mean. I referenced D'Angelo Wallace's tweet earlier on in this video, and he mentioned something about Blaire in his Jeffree Star video, where again, this question came up of, is she a dishonest actor or is she a horrible researcher?
A lot of people in the comment section pointed out that Blaire played right into Jeffrey's hands, and honestly, whether or not this was intentional, I can't really say. I mean, Blaire has been on record before misrepresenting facts to cover for Jeffrey in the Davi Vanity situation. There's a video about that you can watch. I'll put it on screen. It's actually very detailed. So as far as I'm concerned, she's not credible either.
D'Angelo was definitely 200% right when he said that. I think he was referring to the whole, like, she took some of Tamimi's research, but then made Jeffree Star look good when he had called out Davi Vanity for being a pedophile and then continued working with him.
She watched my video. If she said something along the lines of, oh, well, I only skimmed through it to get a couple parts, first of all, then that means you're doing faulty research. And secondly, I find it very, very highly coincidental that you just skipped out every single part where Jeffree Star retracted his information, considering that it's within the first minute of that video. Oh wow, that's interesting. She received PR from Jeffree Star too.
Blaire White ripped part of her video from a small creator named Tamimi, but that's not the big issue. By the way, she already admitted to this, so I don't need to waste the time showing you how she pulled assets directly from Tamimi's video. We could save a few seconds here. Basically, Blaire talks super positive about Jeffree.
And I personally went to several Jeffree Star shows because I used to be, I still am a huge Jeffree Star fan, and back then I loved the music, and accusations against Davi Vanity go back as early as 2010. In fact, Jeffree Star, who a lot of you guys know and trust, called him out on Twitter in a very direct way.
And then her excuse at the time was, I just took information from the middle of your video, but I didn't watch the first 20 seconds. But then in her Jeffree Star video, she said that he talked her out of using the receipts that she was planning on using. So I don't know if she changed her story there. I do think it was interesting that she called Tamimi a clout chaser for making a video and not DMing her first and not contacting her first. When she made a video about Janae, she didn't contact Janae first. Do you think that she tried to contact Anne before she made the video? When she makes videos about other people, do you think that she contacts the other person first and tries to make sure that the story that goes out is as accurate as possible, or nah? I don't know, but the moral of the story is that for every one of you guys who decided to unsubscribe to Blaire White, I want to invite you to go and subscribe to Timba on Toast. It is a travesty that this guy does not have more subscribers. His videos are well edited. He has a nice accent. He has nice music in his videos, very relaxing music, and he does more than 10 minutes of research. I'm sorry, but that's important.